Hi everyone, it's Mariah Rossel with A Journey of Beauty. So one of the things that I have been getting into a lot lately is every time I sit down to do work, this is either before I'm about to see a bunch of clients, or maybe I'm going to sit down and do one of these YouTube videos, work on my blog, work on my book, whatever it is, I really like to pull a card. I have angel decks, I have fairy decks, I have a unicorn deck, I have a standard tarot deck. I have lots of different decks. And one of the reasons that I'm doing this is because I really like to work on my intuition and give a little bit of the work that I'm doing up to Spirit, asking Spirit to guide me. So I ask my inner knowing which deck I'm going to draw from. And usually I just draw one card, but every once in a while, Spirit tells me to draw a couple. And I've actually found the past several times that I've been drawing cards, they literally just jump out of the deck. I don't even get that chance to take my hand and use my intuition and feel which card is right for me. So that's been really interesting. And so the card that I drew today, I wanted to do a YouTube video about. So I drew this card. Oh, wrong side. This is Sacred Spaces. And I'm sorry that the way I do my videos, everything is backwards, so you can't read that probably. So what it says, take time for the dreamer in you. Find your power in stillness. In your sacred space is the peace you seek. In your sacred space is the peace you seek. And then in the book, it says, today I will create a place in stillness. I will take time for my dreams and give thanks for my life. I will always look within and find the peace I seek, for it is always within me. I will make myself and my world a sacred space with a magic cloak of gratitude, and I will be happy. That is beautiful. So the way the card is reading is not the way my intuition was reading the card. And so the card is all about, how do I make everywhere that I go a sacred space? How do I cloak myself, envelop myself with this beautiful sacred energy so I can have sacred space everywhere? But the way that I was interpreting this card, and this is my projection because this is actually a video on my list that I wanted to make, that I came up with probably about a month ago. I had this video that I wanted to record, and I've just been doing lots of other things, and so this one didn't get recorded. But it was about, how do we create sacred space for the work that we do? And I think this is really important. So often we get so busy and hurried, our lives get cluttered, we have trash, we have clutter, we have things out of order, and that's inherently going to happen. But if I want to sit down and I want to not work from a place of ego, not work from a place of my knowing, but open myself up to Spirit so I can channel that information into me and then reflect back to my clients, both the ones that are here and now if I'm doing face-to-face or video sessions or phone sessions with someone, and my clients like you guys on the other side of the YouTube channel, or the people that read my writing. Then I don't want to work from a place of ego, a place of my projections. I'm asking, how can I work from a place from Spirit and really channel something to give you the best information, the best inspiration that you could have, right? And so for me, it's when I sit down to do work, I like to create the space. Can I smudge? Maybe using some sage or Palo Santo or copal. Occasionally I'll bring in some dragon's blood. Some people like incense. I'm not a huge fan of incense otherwise. It's not a smudging as much as a general olfactory experience that I like to use my diffuser. For me, if you ever come and my studio and get body work or healing energy work from me, you'll be greeted with the smells of rose and jasmine and clary sage. I really like the floral. The floral is very feminine, uplifting. For me, it's very inspirational, and it's just very homey to me. And the clary sage just is this purifying, this wisdom, this depth. It brings in a little bit of the masculine, and it really helps to ground all of those ethereal floral smells and bring it, make it a little bit earthy. And so that's a really important part of me for setting my space. So before clients come in, if I don't smudge, and I may or may not, I put on my diffuser. Sometimes when the clients get on the table, with their permission and their consent, of course, I will smudge them. Sometimes I smudge myself or my space before I sit down and do my work. And then it's, what is it? And I take a minute in stillness and think and say, what am I being called to do right now? And then what are my allies? And that's a really big thing that I've been working on, is what are my allies and what are the relationships that I have with them? My allies being the plants and plant spirits that I carry, whether that's essential oils or tinctures or powdered herbs or something that I burn. It may be one of these decks of oracle or tarot cards. It may be a specific crystal or several crystals. It may be working with geometry. Like you can see, I'm wearing a Sri Yantra necklace right now. But I have lots of physical manifestations of sacred geometry and different shapes around my space. One of the things I work a lot with when I do energy healing work is shaping the geometry of the space and shaping the geometry within a person's being. Because if the shapes aren't going to fit together, then it's going to be a lot harder for them to receive whatever it is that they need to. Then I also do work with animal totems. Some of them I simply just energetically, spiritually ask to show up. Some of them I have pieces of, whether they're feathers or fur or a tooth or a skull or something like that. And sometimes those energies are just asking to come into the room to support me doing the work, to support my client in their healing and their transformation work. Sometimes I call in the sacred energetics by sound. I have a lovely, lovely drum. I have some singing bowls. Sometimes I sing. I do love to sing, and sometimes Spirit's just asking for a specific frequency that I don't have a specific instrument to make, but I know that I can make through my mouth and through my vocal cords. Sometimes I get a flash that Spirit wants a specific color, that a specific color is going to be very supportive. And then, I have lots of things around that if I get an intuitive hit that a specific color is a part of that sacred space, then maybe I'll take the time and make an altar. Maybe I will find a scarf or a sash or a ribbon or something. Maybe I'll, I keep my crystals sorted by color, so I could pull out a couple crystals by color. So there's all sorts of different ways that you can use it. And obviously, I listed a lot of things. I put a lot of time and effort into creating relationships with all of these different artifacts and tools and helper spirits and allies, so that I can use them in my healing. And I don't expect that everyone has access to them, but we all have access to creating a sacred space. And I know the word sacred doesn't always resonate with everyone, so maybe replace that with something that you would prefer. Mindful state or meditative state or a clear state. But it's about creating the space for us to do the work. Because if the space that we're working in is really cluttered, then our mind is going to be cluttered. If we come in with busy and whirlwind and antsy, that's going to be reflected in our work, to our clients, and in ourselves. And so it's about taking that time, because it's through the breath that we can remember, we can know our inner selves, right? It's through the mindfulness, it's through the calm. Because when we get to that state of mindfulness, we get to that state of calm, we no longer are acting out of ego, but instead can really open ourselves to Spirit and say, Spirit, I am coming to you humbly as a human that does not have all of the answers. And this is the vision that I have. My vision is for the healing of my clients. The vision is for the healing of myself. Vision is for my healing and prayers and blessings to my lovely family in Peru, to my Shipibo teachers, that they receive the healing that they need, that they receive the abundance that they need. And I keep it vague, because if it's super specific, then that likely is getting into my ego. But if I start vague, I can start to narrow it down and say, this is the specific healing that might be helpful. Because even if somebody comes into me and they say that they're dealing with depression, or their knee hurts, or they feel like there's a spiritual imbalance, or they're busy, that's often what they're aware of. But the issue is often 3 feet deeper. It's much deeper. It's much different. That's simply the symptom. And so if I get swept up in whatever energetic field they are in, then I'm not able to actually hold still, hold my center, and invite their spirit to come to center with me. And the best way for me to do this is when I can be still, I can be centered by creating my sacred space. And this sacred space is going to give me the opportunity to vibrate with it. So this is one of the things like the law of attraction talks about, is like attracts like. So if I am calm and still, I can ask energetically, spiritually, my client to come to a stillness, to come to a grounded space. But if I am all over the map, if I am dealing with my issues, then that's going to pull out the similar issues with my clients, right? So it's about stillness and creating that space, and the space being the right sacred space. The space that I set to do my yoga routine in the morning is going to be different than the space that I set to do like my HIIT training in the afternoon. Maybe the HIIT training, because of the energy that I want, I might put on some upbeat music. I may put some orange or lavender, or some citrus essential oil, so that way I'm increasing my energy, increasing my vibration, getting ready for that high intensity that I don't want during my yoga practice, that I don't want during meditation. So while I've been talking a lot about creating a calm, still, grounded sacred space, sometimes the sacred space still is grounded, but it's high energy, right? And so the biggest thing that I find is to sit for a moment and feel what I want to feel while I'm doing the work that I'm doing. And then when I can vibrate that, I can energetically feel it. I can then ask to all of my spirit guides, to all of my allies, which ones of you, or one of you, is going to be the most helpful for me to achieve that? How can you help me bring forth this energy? Because if I can rely on my guides, on my allies, then I am not forced to hold that energy by myself. I'm allowing myself to ask my guides to hold that space with me, which means I'm delegating the spiritual work. I'm delegating the energetics of the space, and I don't have to hold it. And so this is, an ongoing lesson of life, right? How do I delegate? And I don't have to delegate to somebody else where it's like, oh, I'm always needy and I can't do it on my own, but what can I let go of and what don't I need to hold? Because other beings, other relationships, other allies, other people are more capable of holding it. And it's more in alignment with their goal and their vision than mine. And so this is where this overall idea of cooperation comes. Through cooperation, we create greatness. Through competition, we don't allow ourselves to sit and breathe in our greatness. And so creating my sacred space allows me to energetically and spiritually delegate out all the work that can be done more effectively, more efficiently by one of my allies. And then I don't have to do that. And it's simple, bringing in a specific crystal, pulling a card, whatever it is that works for you. Putting on the perfect lighting, opening a window. There's lots of different little ways that makes it happen. What makes you feel that that space is sacred and grounding so that you can do your work? Thank you so much for tuning in today. I wish you the greatest of luck at creating your sacred space so that way you can be inspired and motivated and just relish in the beauty of what Spirit gives when you ask it, and in creating a sacred space that will allow you to be the most efficient, effective person that you can be. Thank you so much.